Hi everybody and welcome Choir Genius people to this little video demo of the music learning facility within Choir Genius 4. This was a tool for a long time that we had in Choir Genius 2, Choir Genius 3, but we didn't immediately build it in Choir Genius 4. And then we did build it, but without the recording upload part. And then now we've completed this with I think, a really intuitive model for how to upload those recordings and get them routed to the right people for checking. And I think you're going to really like it. So I'm recording this on the 8th of October, 2025, and this stuff should be live for you in your site around the middle of October. So let's jump in. You'll notice right now that under the music and performance menu there is no music learning at all, and that's because it's turned off. So, and some of you might want to leave it turned off, but if you want to turn it on, you go to the music learning settings and just say enable music learning. We won't do audio recordings right away because I want to show them one at a time. And then there's this status vocabulary, which it is showing and giving you a button to go manage those terms. You have to pick one that has the meaning ready for assessment. So you can change this vocabulary to be whatever you want, but one of them has to mean this is when it gets assessed, right? Makes sense? That's how the cues function. They wait for things to be in the ready to assess state. In this case, it's actually called ready for assessment, so that makes it super easy to figure out, but you can make it whatever you want. And then there's this button that will show the assessment cues, but we'll get to that in a second. So once that is saved, you will see that under Music and Performance, we now have this music learning menu item. So let's take a look at that. And that's going to show you a grid of the account sets and set lists that you want to focus on right now. That, of course, is a thing that you can change. But let's go for members and the Christmas concert for now. So as you can see, the colors migrate from red to green as you get further along. So if I click on one of these badges, you'll be able to see that this one is in progress. You'll also see that the recordings are turned off, but you can still add a note or a feedback item. So basically, if you are manually exchanging these recordings or you're doing it in person, then you could put the notes in and not have to worry about the actual routing of recordings. All right, so I should also say that if you're a regular member, then when you look at your music and the set lists here, like it's turned on for this set list, and so I can see that I have done no work at all on this set list as the admin account that I'm currently using. And when you're editing a set list, you can actually decide whether each set list has music learning turned on or not, because you might want it just on for a certain part of the repertoire and not for all of it. So I'll show you how that would work. You would go to set lists, you would edit a set list, and there's going to be enable music learning right there. So that's why it wasn't turned on for the regular repertoire when we looked at that list. Okay, so more items that you can take a look at under music learning besides this grid view, which is a great way to get a sense of how everything is going. You can look at a table which just shows all the records in the system and the notes that are attached and all of that. Like many of these, this can be filtered and sorted in various ways. And you can add some columns, last updated, what set lists they're in. We always try to make it fit on a reasonable sized screen, and that's why we don't always have all the columns turned on. We try to make good choices about which ones to turn on. And then now, if you go to the assessment cues, there's always a global cue, but at the moment there's really no checking that's happening because there is no recording stuff turned on. So let's go back to the music learning settings page and enable audio recordings. Okay, we'll save that. Now, if we go back to the music and performance or to the music learning area, and I click on one of these things, I should be able to upload a piece of music. Yeah, right here. So I'm not started, and if I just pick any old, I've got some like bogus MP3 or M4A files here. So as soon as I upload that, it's going to assign that into the global assessment queue, because right now that's the only queue we have, and it's the best fit, therefore. and it's going to put it in the ready for assessment state. And now anybody with permission can come here and play whatever this audio file says. And at the same time, you can make detailed notes and feedback about what you're listening to and then add that note. Okay, and so then the person who is being evaluated or assessed can go here and read the notes, and that's how that works. I should also add that because I'm in an admin here, I can put it in any state at all that I want. But of course, you wouldn't necessarily want everybody to be able to do that. So on the music learning status vocabularies, there's this leaders only checkbox. And so normally this approved one would be checked so that only a leader can put people in that state. And that usually is coordinator, manager, or admin. And now let's take a second to look at how the cues work. So if we go back to music learning, that third tab here is called assessment cues. And if I click on that, of course I can open the cue to see what's in it, and that one recording we submitted is there. We can see all about what the file is, when it was uploaded. We can click to review it, and we get back to this page again, where somebody can listen to the recording and make some notes. However, you might want to have more cues, because right now there are no assessors in this queue. Now I can add assessors to the global queue. That's no problem. That's just done by name. So now Gina Baker, one of our fake people, is an assessor, and she's going to get a notification when any music learning recordings are uploaded and they get put into this queue. The notifications are configured in the notification area as usual. But again, we might want more cues because we might have a little more complicated situation. So if I add a cue, and let's say we want to do voice part cues, so we'll have one for each voice part. So let's make one for our sopranos. So this is going to be soprano cue, and the type of it is going to be a voice part type, and then you can select a voice part, and we'll make it active, and we can already add assessors, one or more assessors to that, so that we can see who's going to get notified when they go into that queue. And how is that going to work? Well, if a soprano uploads a recording, the best match is going to be the soprano queue, not the global queue. But right now, because soprano's queue is the only one we have, if a tenor uploads something, it's going to go to the global queue, because that is the best match. Clearly, it doesn't belong in the soprano queue. And so each queue can have different people, and when things get uploaded, they're going to get automatically routed to the correct queue, and then the people who are assessors on that queue are going to get notified there's something for them to do. So hopefully that makes sense. And another kind of queue you can do if you have a lot of subgroups, you might have voice part plus subgroup. So then we might say this is going to be the, we usually call it the debut choir, and we'll say debut altos, okay? So then the subgroup is going to be the debut choir, and the voice part is going to be altos. And now that's going to be the best fit cue for people who are in that subgroup and are also singing alto. And again, you can add assessors. And you can make as many cues as you want. Most of the time, I'm thinking you're going to have one cue, either one cue per voice part or one cue per ensemble per voice part. And so if you do a lot of this checking, this should make it extremely convenient for you. I'll just very quickly show the notification area and how you would configure that. So it's the only music learning notification that says you have one or more pending recordings to assess. Currently turned on, goes to the account of the assessor, and right now that is sent every 3 days as a digest. Of course, you can always say send it every day in your own email, depending on how timely you want these responses to be. So that is, I think, a pretty good overview of the new, all the new features in music learning. One of the reasons we did this now is that a lot of CG3, Choir Genius 3 customers are starting to really be anxious to move over to Choir Genius 4, and a lot of them use this feature with the recording uploads. I want to add one more thing, which is that unlike in Choir Genius 3, the recordings don't stick around forever. When we migrated a bunch of Choir Genius 3 people over to Choir Genius 4, they literally had 10 years of these recordings that nobody had ever deleted, and so we're talking about 20 gigabytes of recordings that nobody had looked at in a long time. So these recordings stick around for 90 days and then they'll be automatically deleted. And that's one of the optimizations that we're adding. All right, I think that's it. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you want to be notified of future Choir Genius videos when they come up, then click on that subscribe button and ring the bell, and you'll be notified. Thanks. Have a great day.